After lending my brother $30,000 to save his business, I found out he used it for a vacation with my wife. I drove 6 hours to confront them. He opened the door laughing, handed me my wedding ring, and said, "Guess you paid for more than just my flight." I didn't even know where to begin. But 3 weeks later, I did something that made him wish he never. I'm 38 years old. I work in insurance claims. I'm not rich, but I've done okay for myself. I own a modest home in Savannah, Georgia. Nothing fancy, but I worked hard for every piece of furniture in it. I married Megan when I was 28. We met in high school, started dating in college. We had history. Or so I thought. My brother Danny is 2 years younger. Grew up in the same house as me, but turned out completely different. Always chasing shortcuts. Always one step away from some big idea that was supposed to change his life, but never did. He drank too much. Gambled. Got into trouble. But he was my brother. A month ago, he called me in a panic. Said he needed $30,000 to save his pressure washing business in Charleston. Claimed it was legit. He had a few contracts lined up and just needed new equipment to seal the deals. Without it, he was screwed. I had the money. It was most of my savings. Megan and I had talked about using it to buy a lake house one day. Or maybe start a family. But when your brother calls you crying, says you're his only hope, you don't think. You just help. I wired him the money the next morning. Megan didn't argue when I told her. She didn't say much at all. Just nodded. Said something like, "Hope it works out," then went back to scrolling through her phone. At first, I gave Danny the benefit of the doubt. I didn't expect a full business plan or anything. But after I sent the money, he kind of disappeared. I'd text him. He'd say he was swamped. I'd ask how things were going. He'd say, "Busy but good." He never sent photos of the equipment. Never gave any real updates. 2 weeks went by, then 3, and then I saw the text. Megan was in the shower. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand. I wasn't snooping, I swear I wasn't. But the screen lit up, and it was right there. "Danny. Wish you were in the hot tub with me again. That sunset wasn't the same without you." I stared at the screen, felt my chest tighten. I scrolled up. There were messages going back days. Weeks, actually. Photos. Jokes. "Remember that night in Atlanta? Next time we need a bigger bed. Let's never go back." It wasn't just an affair. It was a whole relationship. Behind my back. With my brother. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I didn't confront her that night. Or the next. Instead, I started gathering pieces. I pulled our phone records. Her credit card history. Looked through our shared photo cloud. She forgot it was synced to her iPad. And everything was still backed up. Photos of her and Danny on a beach. Her in a bikini I'd never seen. Him holding drinks, his hand on her leg. And one photo that hit like a punch to the chest, Danny in a hotel robe flipping off the camera while Megan laughed behind him. The caption said, "All expenses paid." Face with tears of joy, my $30,000 didn't go to pressure washers. It went to flights, hotels, fancy dinners, and probably God knows what else. I didn't say a word. That Saturday, I got in my truck and drove to Charleston. 6 hours on the road with just silence. No music. No talking. Just thinking. I had the address from a delivery invoice I found in Megan's emails. It led me to a beach house Airbnb. Big, modern, expensive. I pulled into the driveway and sat there for a minute. My hands were shaking. I knocked. Danny opened the door. He was shirtless, tanned, sunglasses on his head. He looked like a man on vacation. "Oh, damn," he said, like he was surprised to see me. Then he laughed. He reached into his pocket and tossed something at me. It hit my chest and fell into my hand. It was my wedding ring. "Guess you paid for more than just my flight," he said. Then he slammed the door in my face. I stood there for a full minute. I didn't knock again. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I walked back to my truck, got in, and drove home. 3 days later, Megan moved out. She didn't even try to explain. She left a note on the kitchen table that said, "We were never right. I hope you find peace." I didn't respond. I just kept quiet. But I wasn't done. I spent the next 3 weeks putting together everything I could find on Danny's business. And what I found, it was a damn house of cards. No permits. No contractor license. Fake insurance certificate. The LLC paperwork hadn't been filed properly. and he'd already been fined before for operating without a license. He used cash to avoid taxes. His reviews online were fake. The few real ones were complaints. So I started making calls. I started with the people he worked with. I found 3 of his biggest clients through posts on his Facebook page. He had tagged their houses like they were trophies. Rich neighborhoods, gated communities in Charleston where people pay top dollar for home services. I called one pretending to be a potential client and asked about Danny's work. Danny, the man said, that guy vanished on us. Left rust stains on the driveway and never came back to fix it. That was all I needed. I emailed every one of those clients with photos I pulled from the cloud. Screenshots of Danny bragging about overcharging them, partying with Megan on their dime, laughing at rich idiots who tip. Then I made anonymous complaints to the Better Business Bureau and the South Carolina Department of Labor. I reported him to the IRS. I sent documents and screenshots, dates, names. I created a fake Yelp account and posted reviews with receipts, photos, and proof that his business was a scam. It was slow at first, but the cracks started to show. 2 weeks later, his business page was taken down. Then his Venmo account was frozen. I heard from a friend back home that his truck was repossessed in front of a client's house. He tried to borrow money from our cousin, said that economy hit him hard. He had no idea I was behind any of it. And then something happened I didn't expect. Megan called me. Blocked number. Middle of the day. I answered. She was crying. Not a fake sob. It was real panic. He left me, she said. He just took my car and left me at a gas station. I didn't say anything. He said he needed space. Then he took off. I have nothing. I don't know what to do. I waited a few seconds. Then I said, guess you paid for more than just his gas, and hung up. That night, she showed up at my front door. Same worn-down expression she wore when her dad died years ago. Except this time, I didn't care. I messed up, she said. I nodded. I know. She begged to come inside. Said she had nowhere else to go. Said she made a mistake. That she thought Danny was different. That he understood her in a way I didn't. She tried to touch my hand. I moved it away. You had a husband, I said. A home. A life. I know, she whispered. I ruined everything. You didn't just ruin it, I said. You torched it and laughed while it burned. I closed the door in her face. The next morning, I started on the second part of my plan. Danny had another weakness. He owed a guy named Marcus about $12,000 from a gambling thing back in 2022. I knew because I helped him get out of it once. Gave Marcus some of the money as a peace offering. Told him Danny would never mess with bets again. Turns out, Danny still owed him about $5,000. I sent Marcus a friendly message. Just FYI, Danny's been flashing cash lately, bragging about big contracts. Thought you'd want to know. I attached a few photos from the trip he took with Megan. The beach house, the steaks, the designer shoes. Marcus didn't say much. Just responded, thanks for the heads up. 2 days later, Danny called me. His voice was shaky. Did you talk to Marcus? Who? He paused. Bro, I'm serious. Did you say something to him? I haven't talked to anyone, I said. Another pause. I think someone followed me. Last night. I saw the same car 3 times. And someone egged the Airbnb. Sounds rough. Then I hung up. 3 nights later, I got a voicemail from my mom. Crying. Your brother's in trouble, she said. He called from a hospital. Said someone roughed him up. I don't know what's going on, but he needs help. I listened. Then deleted the message. No one came crying for me when my world fell apart. No one offered to help when I found out my wife and brother used me like an ATM, laughed in my face, tossed my wedding ring at me like it was trash. Let Danny sit in that hospital bed. Let him feel a fraction of the betrayal. I wasn't done yet. I thought that was the peak of it. But a week later, something happened that shook me all over again. I was at work when I got a call from my bank. Someone had tried to open a line of credit in my name using my social security number and an old address from when I lived in Atlanta 10 years ago. I froze. The banker asked if I'd recently applied for a $20,000 business loan. I hadn't. I went home early and pulled every financial record I had. Credit reports, account activity, even some old emails I'd forgotten about. Then I found it. An email from Danny to a client he'd CC'd me on by mistake. I remembered the message back then, thought nothing of it. But the client was using my name. And attached to that thread was a forged W-2 form with my information on it. He'd used my info to apply for loans before, probably small ones. He must have kept trying. And now, with his business falling apart, he was getting desperate. I called a lawyer, filed a police report, locked my credit. Then I did something I never wanted to do. I called my father. He and I hadn't spoken much over the years, but he always kept tabs on Danny. He lived outside of Augusta, a few hours inland, and he had always been Danny's reluctant backup when things hit the fan. I told him what Danny had done, the fraud, the affair, the lies. First, he didn't believe it. Then I forwarded the emails, the screenshots, the loan attempt flagged by the bank, the video clip Megan had taken of Danny flashing a wad of cash in front of a mirror in the Airbnb captioned, "All on Big Bro's dime." There was a long silence. Then my father sighed. "I always knew that boy would crash hard," he said. He hung up. 2 days later, Danny called me again. This time from a different number. "You told Dad?" he yelled. "He cut me off, man. He was my last option. You should have thought of that before you stole from me. Before you screwed my wife." He got quiet. Then he laughed. But it wasn't cocky this time. It was hollow. "You really think you won?" he said. "You think I got nothing left?" "You don't," I said. "You had a brother. You had someone who gave a damn. You had someone who gave you 30 grand with no questions asked." More silence. I hope it was worth it. That night, I got another call. This time from my lawyer. "There's something else," she said. She forwarded me a subpoena. Megan was filing a claim on our joint savings, trying to say she was entitled to half since we hadn't finalized the divorce yet, and she contributed emotionally to the marriage. That was her argument. She wanted 15 grand. The same woman who tossed our vows in the trash, who let my brother humiliate me, who watched me break in silence and didn't blink. I laughed when I read the paperwork, but it wasn't because it was funny. It was because I realized how far gone they both were. They weren't just cruel. They were stupid. So I went public. I sent a carefully written letter to every single person in our extended family. Aunts, uncles, cousins, friends of the family, people I hadn't seen in years. I laid it out piece by piece: photos, texts, emails, legal filings. Every lie. Every betrayal. What Megan did. What Danny did. I didn't ask for sympathy. I didn't ask for sides. I just told the truth. And then I let the truth do what it always does: burn everything fake to the ground. After that letter went out, it was like dropping a lit match in a pool of gasoline. My phone blew up. Some people reached out quietly, texts, short calls. My cousin Rachel in Jacksonville called crying. Said she always had a weird feeling about Danny. My Uncle Thomas said, "Took guts to send that." A few others just stopped replying to Danny completely. One even posted a quote on Facebook the next day. "Blood doesn't make you family. Loyalty does." Megan's mom emailed me. Just one line: "I'm ashamed of her. You didn't deserve that." The rest went quiet, which told me everything I needed to know. I found out later Danny tried to do damage control. Told everyone I was bitter, that I was lying, that I was unstable since the split. He even said Megan had been emotionally abused by me, trying to flip the script. But the problem with liars is, when the receipts are real, no one believes them for long. 3 weeks after that, Megan showed up to our divorce mediation with a fresh black eye. She wore sunglasses indoors, but I saw it when she adjusted them for a moment. She caught me looking. "It's not what you think," she said. I didn't respond. She went on to say Danny had gotten drunk, threw her phone, punched a hole in a wall, and pushed her against a door. That she left him the next day. That she was staying at a friend's place. That she was sorry. Then she said the words that made my stomach turn. "I miss what we had." I stared at her. "You miss the house, the meals, the comfort. You don't miss me." "No," she started. "You screwed my brother in a hotel room I paid for. You both laughed about it. You sent photos to each other like teenagers. Then you showed up at my door like nothing happened. You're not sorry. You're alone." I signed the final papers that afternoon. Gave her nothing but the clothes she came with and whatever crap she left behind. My lawyer made sure of that. As for Danny, the final blow came 2 months later. I was at work when I got a letter from a collections agency. It was for a loan he'd co-signed using my identity. Somehow it had gotten through before I froze everything. But there was one mistake. He'd signed my name in his own handwriting. That was all I needed. I filed charges. Identity theft, fraud, forgery. Danny was arrested 2 weeks later in a bar in Mount Pleasant. Mugshot went public. Local paper ran a small story about it. It didn't make headlines, but in our circles, it was enough. He called me from jail. I let it go to voicemail. Please, he said. I messed up. I messed up so bad. I need help, man. I need you. I deleted the message. Last I heard, he's serving 18 months with probation after. No more pressure washing business. No truck. No clients. No one to call. Megan moved to Tampa. Works at a beauty salon now, according to what I saw online. She's dating some guy who sells insurance. Funny enough. And me? I bought that cabin. Not for me and Megan. Just for me. I sit on the porch some nights, drink a beer, and listen to the wind. And I think about how close I came to losing everything. I did lose something. Maybe a lot. My marriage. My brother. My trust. But what I gained was knowing I didn't just survive. I buried them both with truth. And they'll be digging out for the rest of their lives.